Buy now, pay later. An addictive trap. Why? Because you can buy a pair of $200 running shoes and only pay $50 for the first payment. And you feel, oh, I can afford this. Next week, you do the same thing again, use Affirm to buy whatever you want, and you still think you're spending responsibly. And just like that, you won't even remember what you spent on. The reality is it makes you carry massive debt just from tiny purchases that you don't even bother to care about. What's even more terrifying, it's not just you. Millions of Americans are currently carrying consumer debt, not including housing. $4.7 trillion total household debt. $18.6 trillion. Credit card debt just broke records at $1.233 trillion. A terrifying number. And I'm pot. I've spent way too much time studying spending habits, financial behaviors, and the psychological tricks that fintech companies use to turn us into spending machines. And today let's talk about this dangerous trap, buy now, pay later. So what exactly is buy now, pay later? Let me break it down with a simple example. Say you're shopping online for a new suitcase. You find one you like for $300. Instead of paying all $300 today, BNPL lets you split it into 4 equal payments. You pay $75 today, the suitcase ships to your door, and then you pay $75 every 2 weeks until it's paid off. 0 interest. Sounds pretty good, right? And here's why this has become so tempting. If you're between 25 and 45 right now, you're living through one of the toughest financial landscapes in generations. The average Gen Z worker is carrying $94,000 in personal debt. Student loans, credit cards, car payments. 70% of renters in this age group struggle to afford housing. 41% run out of money every single month. 20% are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. The American dream homeownership now requires an income of $126,000 a year, up from $79,000 just 4 years ago. The median first-time home buyer is now 38 years old. 38. Your parents probably bought their first house in their late 20s. So when you see that BNPL button at checkout, it feels like relief. It feels like finally something that works in your favor. But here's the thing. Buy now, pay later isn't some revolutionary new invention. It's actually a modern twist on something that's been around for decades. Back in the day, stores like Kmart and Sears had these layaway programs. You'd put down a deposit on something, let's say a dishwasher, and the store would hold it for you. You'd make payments over time, and once you paid it all off, you could take the dishwasher home. The catch, you had to wait. Then credit cards came along and changed everything. Why wait when you can swipe and get your stuff today? Pay it off later whenever. The problem? Interest. And right now, the average credit card APR is sitting at around 22 to 23%. Miss a payment or carry a balance, and suddenly that dishwasher costs way more than the sticker price. Enter buy now, pay. Later, the supposed best of both worlds. Get your product immediately, pay over time, and do it interest-free. And people went absolutely wild for it. In 2019, BNPL transaction volume was just $2 billion. By 2024, $492.8 billion. This year, 2025, we're looking at $560.1 billion, a 13.7% jump in just 1 year. And by 2030, analysts predict it'll hit $911.8 billion. Right now, 360 million people worldwide use BNPL. By 2027, that number is expected to explode to 900 million users. That's a 157% increase in just 2 years. Why? Because for millions of people living paycheck to paycheck, BNPL doesn't feel like debt. It feels like survival. So why did buy now, pay later explode so fast? It's not just about the technology. It's about 3 massive cultural shifts that are happening right now, and they're all hitting you at once. First, the FOMO economy. You know that feeling when you're scrolling Instagram at 11 p.m. and you see your friend posting from Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter tour? Or your coworker just got back from Santorini and their feed looks like a travel magazine? Or your college roommate is at Coachella and you're sitting at home in your pajamas feeling like you're missing life itself? That's not an accident. 73% of millennials have literally spent money they don't have just to avoid being left out. 81% of us make impulse purchases because of what we see on social media. And here's the brutal part. Young adults are spending an average of $250 every single month on social activities just to stay connected. Not because they want to, Because they feel like they have to. 60% of people our age say they feel pressure to spend money to keep up with friends. And the cruelest irony, many of us are going into debt for these Instagram-worthy experiences, but we're so busy documenting them that we never actually experience them. We're buying the photo op, not the memory. Second, the generational resentment. And I'm going to say something that might sting your parents, don't get it. They tell you to just save more, work harder, stop buying avocado toast. But here's what they're not seeing. They bought their first house at 28 for 3 times their annual salary. You're 38 still renting, and you'd need to save 6 times your annual salary just for a down payment. The median first-time homebuyer is now 38 years old. 38. Your parents were settled with 2 kids and a mortgage by then. To afford the median house price today, you need to make $126,000 a year. 4 years ago, it was $79,000. The game has fundamentally changed, but somehow you're still getting blamed for not winning. 55% of Gen Z and Millennials believe our parents had it easier. Not think. Believe. Because we've done the math, and the math doesn't lie. And third, the financial anxiety crisis that nobody wants to talk about. 69% of Americans right now are depressed or anxious about money. That's up from 61% just last year. But for our generation, it's so much worse. 49% of millennials have experienced actual panic or anxiety attacks about their finances. 20% of Gen Z feel anxious about money every single day. Not sometimes. Every day. This isn't just stress. 63% of us can't sleep because we're worried about money. 40% are experiencing physical illness headaches, stomach problems because of financial anxiety. 49% say it's affecting their job performance. And here's the thing that breaks my heart. 39% of us are terrified. We're making the wrong money choices, but we don't know what the right choices even look like anymore. It's not just your bank account that's suffering. It's your body, your sleep, your relationships, your ability to show up at work. 1 in 5 people say finances have ended a friendship. And then buy now, pay later shows up. And it whispers you don't have to choose. Pay $25 today instead of $100. That doesn't feel like debt. That feels like breathing room. That feels like maybe you can keep up. That feels like survival. That's why it exploded. Not because we're irresponsible, but because we're drowning and someone threw us what looked like a life raft. So let's talk about the choice you think you're making. Buy now, pay later versus credit cards. Because here's the thing, it's not really a choice at all. It's a trap with 2 doors, and both of them lead to the same place. Credit cards. Right now, the average APR is sitting at 22 to 23%, the highest it's ever been. But beyond the numbers, credit cards feel like judgment. There's an application, a credit check. Someone somewhere looking at a score that tells you whether you're worthy or not. And if you miss one payment boom penalty, APR kicks in at 27% or higher. It feels like the system is just waiting for you to fail. And collectively, Americans are carrying $1.233 trillion in credit card debt. The highest in history. So yeah, credit cards feel scary. They feel like proof that you're not good enough. Then comes buy now, pay later. And it feels completely different. Instant approval, no credit check. No one judging your credit score or asking uncomfortable questions about your finances. 0% interest. It feels like freedom. Like finally something designed for you instead of against you. But here's what they don't tell you up front. 34 to 41% of BNPL users miss at least one payment. When you do, those late fees can go up to 25% of your original purchase. That's 0% interest. It was never really zero. It was just hiding. And here's the psychological trick that makes it so dangerous BNPL doesn't feel like debt. When you split that $100 purchase into 4 payments of $25, your brain doesn't register it as a $100 decision. It registers it as a $25 decision. That's not an accident. That's neuroscience being weaponized against you. Let me give you a real example. You want to buy a new iPhone. $1,000. You're standing at checkout and you have 3 options. Option 1, pay the full $1,000 today. Ouch, that hurts. You feel that pain immediately. Your bank account drops by $1,000 and it feels heavy. Option 2, put it on a credit card at 22% APR. If you only make minimum payments, you'll end up paying about $1,480 over 5 years. $480 of that is just interest, but that pain is delayed. Future use problem. Option 3. Use Afterpay. 4 payments of $250 every 2 weeks. 0 interest if you pay on time. And here's the trick: your brain sees $250, not $1,000. It feels manageable, it feels smart. But here's the reality nobody talks about. 69% of people using Buy Now, Pay Later already have credit card debt. You're not choosing BNPL over credit cards. You're stacking them. You've got the credit card balance, plus the Afterpay for the phone, plus the Klarna for those shoes, plus the Affirm for that skincare haul. You're not escaping debt. You're just hiding from it in more places. And every new place feels like it doesn't count because it's only $25 here, $50 there. Until suddenly it's everywhere and you can't remember what you're even paying for anymore. And boom, you've fallen into the rich guy's trap. Okay, so if Buy Now, Pay Later is offering you 0% interest, how are they actually making money? Because trust me, they're making a lot of it. And understanding how reveals exactly whose side they're really on. Here's how the money flows. First, merchant fees. Every time you use BNPL, the store pays 4 to 6% of your purchase to the BNPL company. Compare that to credit cards, which charge stores about 2.5%. So brands are literally paying double. Why? Because they know something. When you see that BNPL button, you spend 20 to 30% more than you would otherwise. You're more likely to buy, more likely to add extra items to your cart, more likely to say yes to things you'd normally say no to. Second, late fees. Remember how 34 to 41% of users miss at least one payment? That's not a bug. That's a feature. Those late fees are a massive revenue source. And the companies know exactly how to time those payment reminders to maximize the chance you'll forget. Third, your data. Every purchase you make tells a story. What you buy when you buy it, how much you're willing to spend. BNPL companies harvest all of that information and sell it to other brands. Your shopping habits are a goldmine and they're cashing in. And fourth, loan securitization. They take your debt, bundle it with thousands of other people's debt, and sell it to big financial institutions. They make money even when you pay on time. They've created a system where they win no matter what happens to you financially. Let me show you what this looks like in reality. Klarna processed $105 billion in transactions last year, working with 790,000 merchants worldwide. Affirm brought in $2.32 billion in revenue. In 2024 alone, a 46% jump from the year before. These aren't small companies experimenting with a new idea. These are massive financial institutions that have figured out how to print money by making it easier for you to spend yours. Here's the part that should make you angry. You thought you were the customer. But you're not. You're the product. The real customers are the brands paying those merchant fees. BNPL companies are selling them access to you, to your wallet, to your psychology, to your fear of missing out and your anxiety about falling behind. And the brands love it because the numbers don't lie. When a site adds a Buy Now, Pay Later option, conversion rates skyrocket. Average order values jump. Young people who would never touch a credit card suddenly start spending. It's a money printing machine and you're the one feeding it. Brands aren't offering Buy Now, Pay Later to help you afford things. They're offering it because it makes you spend more. Every single design choice, every placement of that button, every pre-selection at checkout, it's all calculated to extract maximum value from your wallet while making you feel like you're being smart with your money. Now let me show you exactly how they get inside your head. Because Buy Now, Pay Later isn't just a payment option. It's a psychological weapon, and it's being used against you every single time you shop online. Trick number 1. The pain of paying. There's actual neuroscience behind this. When you pay for something, the pain center in your brain lights up. It's called the insula, and it processes physical and emotional pain the same way. But here's what researchers found. When you split a $100 payment into 4 $25 payments, your brain's pain response is significantly weaker. Your insula doesn't light up as much for $25 as it does for $100. So when you see 4 easy payments, it's not just marketing language. It's targeting a specific part of your brain to reduce the psychological pain of spending. You're being neurologically manipulated into feeling less bad about the purchase. Trick number 2. Temporal discounting. This is a fancy term for something simple humans value right now way more than we value the future. We're wired this way. It's why you hit snooze even though you know you'll regret it. It's why you scroll TikTok at midnight even though you have work tomorrow. BNPL exploits this perfectly. Pay $25 today wins every single time against save up for 2 months. Your brain says future you can deal with the consequences. Present you deserves this thing right now. It's the same thinking that keeps you up scrolling when you should be sleeping, except now it's being used to make you spend money. Trick number 3, artificial urgency plus FOMO, limited time offers. Only 3 left in stock. Your card is reserved for 10 minutes. These create panic. But now layer on top of that the social FOMO we talked about earlier. Everyone else is at that concert. Everyone else has those shoes. Can you really miss it? Can you really be the only one not going? 54% of Gen Z say their fear of missing out directly influences their spending on events. The urgency isn't just about the sale ending. It's about your social life ending, about being left behind, about becoming invisible. Trick number 4, design manipulation. This one is pure evil genius. The BNPL button is bigger, brighter, often in a color that draws your eye like green or blue, while the pay full amount button is gray and boring. The BNPL option is frequently pre-selected, so you'd have to actively click away from it to pay differently. It's positioned above the full payment option so your eye hits it first. Every single pixel is a decision, every color choice, every placement. This is UX design weaponized to short-circuit your rational thinking. They're literally arranging the checkout page to make your lizard brain click before your logical brain can catch up. But here's what nobody talks about. The real damage isn't just the tricks. It's what happens after. It's the shame cycle. Phase 1. Relief. You click that BNPL button and it feels good. I can afford this, I'm being smart with my money. Phase 2. Avoidance. The payment notifications start coming. You swipe them away. You'll deal with it later. You don't open the app. You don't check your balance. Phase 3. Panic. Late fees hit. Your anxiety spikes. You realize you have 6 different payments across 4 different apps and you've lost track. Phase 4. Shame. Why can't I manage money? Everyone else seems fine. What's wrong with me? Phase 5. Repeat. You're stressed, you're anxious, and what makes you feel better? Shopping. So you use BNPL again to cope with the stress that BNPL created. 46% of people avoid dealing with their financial issues entirely because it's too painful for their mental health. 39% are stressed about making wrong money choices, so they freeze and make no choices at all. And here's the truth that should make you furious. You feel like you're failing, but the system is designed to make you fail. You're not broken. You're being played by professionals who've spent millions of dollars studying exactly how to exploit your psychology. So let's talk about where this all leads. And I'm going to start with a story that sounds ridiculous until you realize how real it is. Klarna is now available on DoorDash, which means you can finance your $15 burrito. 4 payments of $3.75. For a burrito. Now your first reaction might be to laugh. Who would finance a burrito? But here's the thing, if you're financing a burrito, what else are you financing? Because it's not just the burrito, it's the groceries on Instacart, the gas on your credit card, the Friday night Chipotle bowl on Afterpay, the body wash on Affirm. This is called loan stacking. And it's exactly what it sounds like. 63% of BNPL borrowers have 2 or more loans running at the same time. But the real number is probably higher because these apps don't talk to each other. Affirm doesn't know you have Klarna. Klarna doesn't know you have Sezzle. Nobody's tracking the full picture except you, and let's be honest, you're not tracking it either. Here's what it actually looks like. You have Affirm for those running shoes you bought 3 weeks ago. $50 due on the 15th. Afterpay for the skincare haul from TikTok. $37 due on the 8th. Klarna for groceries because your bank account was low that week. $28 on the 22nd. Sezzle for that concert ticket because everyone was going and you couldn't miss it. $75 on the 5th. 4 different apps, 4 different companies, 4 different payment schedules. And somewhere in the chaos, you lose track. Which payment already hit? Which one is next? Did you miss one? You're not sure, so you just avoid opening any of the apps because checking feels worse than not knowing. And here's the demographic tragedy that should terrify everyone. 28% of Buy Now Pay Later users are between 18 and 24 years old. These are people who don't even fully understand how credit cards work yet. but they're being handed unlimited access to buy now, pay later programs with almost no friction, no education, no guardrails. The average Gen Z person is already carrying $94,000 in personal debt. $94,000. Student loans, sure, but also credit cards, personal loans, and now BNPL stacked on top of everything else. They can't afford rent. They're working multiple jobs, but they can split that body wash into 4 easy payments. And 69% of BNPL users already have credit card debt. So they're not using buy now, pay later instead of credit cards. They're using it in addition to credit cards. They're drowning, and instead of a life raft, someone handed them an anchor and told them it floats. Let me tell you what this does to a person. 40% of young people are experiencing actual physical illness from financial stress. Not just anxiety, physical sickness, headaches that won't go away, stomach problems. 63% can't sleep at night because they're lying awake thinking about money. 74% of Gen Z have missed social events because they couldn't afford them. Read that again. 3/4 of young people are isolating themselves because of money. And here's the cruel irony, many of them got into BNPL debt trying to keep up socially in the first place. They spent money they didn't have to avoid being left out, and now they're being left out anyway because they're too broke to say yes to anything. 1 in 5 people say finances have ended a friendship. 49% say financial stress is affecting their job performance. That number was 36% just 2 years ago. People are so anxious about money that they can't focus at work, which means they're at risk of losing the very income they need to pay off the debt. And the mental health crisis is real. 49% of millennials have experienced panic or anxiety attacks about their finances. Not just worry, full panic attacks. Only 16% of Gen Z and millennials report that their mental health is excellent. 16%. We're living through a mental health epidemic, and it's being fueled by a financial system designed to keep us anxious and spending. You're using buy now, pay later to cope with financial stress. But BNPL is creating more financial stress. It's a death spiral, and every payment you split pushes you deeper into it. Right now, Americans are carrying $1.233 trillion in credit card debt, the highest it's ever been. Non-housing consumer debt is at $4.7 trillion. The average credit card APR is 22.83%. These aren't just numbers. This is the weight that millions of people are carrying every single day. And here's the emotional reality: you're not alone in this. But knowing that doesn't make it hurt less. It doesn't make the panic attack stop. It doesn't help you sleep at night. It doesn't fix the fact that you're 25 years old and you feel like you're failing at life because you can't afford a burrito without splitting it into 4 payments. Okay, so what do you actually do? Because I'm not going to stand here and just scare you without giving you a way out. Here's the hard truth first. Buy now. Pay later isn't inherently evil. A knife isn't evil, but it can save your life in the kitchen or end it in the wrong hands. BNPL is a tool, and right now it's being used against you. But it doesn't have to be. The companies behind it have spent millions of dollars on behavioral research, on neuroscience, on figuring out exactly how to get you to click that button. You're fighting weaponized psychology with willpower alone. That's not a fair fight. So let's even the odds. Rule number 1, the reality check. Never spend more than you currently have in your bank account. I know that sounds obvious, but hear me out. Treat buy now, pay later like a debit card, not a credit card. If you can't pay for it in full today, you can't afford it today. The fact that you can split it into 4 payments doesn't change that math. I know what you're thinking. But pot that defeats the whole purpose. Exactly. The purpose is to make you spend money you don't have. You need to change the purpose. Use it for cash flow management if you want, fine, but only if the full amount is already sitting in your account. Rule number 2, break the FOMO cycle. That Instagram feed showing your friends living their best lives. It's not real, or at least it's not the full picture. 73% of people are financing experiences they can't afford. That Santorini vacation on your feed. It might be on 5 different credit cards and 3 BNPL apps. You're not seeing the debt. You're just seeing the sunset. Here's what I want you to do. Set a social spending budget. Not $250 a month. Start with $100, maybe even $50. For FOMO activities only. The stuff you do just because everyone else is doing it. And when you hit that limit, you're done. You say no. you miss the event. And you know what? The world doesn't end. Your friends don't forget you. Life goes on. Rule number 3, avoid the loan stack. Maximum 1. Buy now, pay later. Purchase at a time. 1. Not 1 per app, 1 total. If you can't remember all your payment dates without checking an app, you have too many. And if you're financing weekly expenses like gas or groceries, that's not budgeting. That's drowning. Stop immediately. Rule number 4, address the root cause. Financial anxiety is real. 39% of you are terrified you're making the wrong money choices. And that fear is paralyzing. So let me tell you something with absolute clarity. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about discipline. This is about a system designed to keep you anxious and spending. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. But you might need help. Real help. Consider talking to a therapist about financial anxiety. It's a real thing. There are financial therapists who specialize in this. Organizations like the National Foundation for Credit Counseling offer free resources. The Financial Therapy Association can connect you with professionals who get it. And if therapy feels out of reach, financially start small. There are free apps, free communities, free resources. You don't have to do this alone. The bigger picture. Start building an emergency fund. Not $1,000, not even $500. Start with $50, then $100. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is momentum. Every dollar you save is a dollar that buys you breathing room the next time life happens. If you want to use credit strategically, look into 0% intro APR credit cards. The average intro period right now is 11 to 13 months. That's basically what BNPL promises, except it's transparent, it's regulated, and it actually builds your credit score. But here's the real truth. You don't have to win the game they designed. You can choose not to play. You can opt out. You can say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not financing my life in 4 easy payments. I'm not buying things to prove I can afford things. I'm not performing financial stability for Instagram. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're being played by a $560 billion industry that has studied your psychology, your fears, your insecurities, and turned them into profit margins. But now you know the tricks. Now you see the manipulation. Now you understand that the relief you feel when you click that button is engineered, and knowledge is power. You got this, one decision at a time. So let's bring it all back. Buy now, pay later is now a $560 billion industry. By 2027, 900 million people worldwide will be using it. 34 to 41% of them will miss at least one payment. But here's the number that matters most: 69% of Americans are anxious about money right now. BNPL promised you freedom, but it's delivering chains. They're counting on you not keeping count. They're betting on you clicking first and thinking later. They're profiting from your anxiety, your FOMO, your fear of being left behind. But here's what I need you to understand. You deserve better than panic attacks over a burrito payment. You deserve better than lying awake at 3 a.m. checking your bank balance. You deserve better than avoiding your phone because you can't handle one more payment notification. You deserve better than choosing between paying rent and looking successful on Instagram. This system wants you to feel broken. It wants you to feel like you're the problem. Like if you just had more discipline, more willpower, more self-control, you'd be fine. But that's a lie designed to keep you ashamed in spending. You're not failing. The system is failing you. Every time you see that buy now, pay later button from now on, I want you to pause. Take a breath. Remember everything we talked about today. Remember that button was designed by teams of behavioral psychologists to make you click without thinking. So think. Ask yourself, do I need this, or do I need to feel like I can afford this? There's a difference, and that difference might just save you. The choice is yours now, but at least now it's an informed choice. You got this. One click at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of saying no when everything in you wants to say yes. And I believe you're stronger than the algorithm that's trying to sell you. I'm Pot Wall Street,